let's go. We got a Night Elf versus Orc matchup. First map, Autumn Leaves. I do not have a player card this time, but you could see their MMR there for the current season when it loaded. Bottom left, we got the yellow Night Elf. I don't exactly know how he prefers his name pronounced, but I call him rcknew because that makes sense to me. And it looks like he's going standard build with an Ancient War at the gold mine for the first camp, which is risky. And then at the top right, we got the blue orc, xeSeek. If you knew the clan XE in the past, he was one of their top members at the time, along with XE Bro and probably some other people. I didn't follow it too closely beyond knowing he was there because he used to be in my clan as well. Or I mean, he's still in my clan, I guess.
Yeah, and so interesting to see. I'm assuming Keeper. Oh, DH. Okay. For the Night Elf, and Seek going with the traditional Farseer. I'm assuming the Headhunters, and we're going to see what happens.
Yeah, he likes that Farseer. And his barracks seems a little late, or maybe his war mill was early, but it's honestly not that huge of a deal. It's mostly going to come down to how well his harass goes. And his harass can definitely go extremely well against a Night Elf that's creeping this as their first camp. So we'll see how rcknew handles it. Yeah, we got that Grinchy co-cast going.
A player's forces are under attack.
So yeah, he's actually aggroing the creep right away. He might need to bring another Wisp to repair, but he should actually be able to get the Ogre Magi before Farseer shows up because of how fast he started it. So that's good. The question is, oh, he needs to watch out for this Archer though. The question is, after he gets the Ogre, is he going to just back off with his tree and, you know, handle the harass? Or is he going to force the rest of the creep? Archer needs to be careful here. Wolf getting ensnared is huge though. Yeah, he is trying to finish the creep, and he actually gets enough damage for it, even without a damage item. Detto
Nice
coming
carry.
in, but neither wolf goes down.
A player's forces are under attack.
And that's one of the things with Orc, is they can summon so fast right when they come out of the altar and still have a huge duration on the wolves. Wisp harass coming out. Looks like he started his tech, just pumping archers. Seek does have headhunters coming out, and he should be teching himself in a second, because he has the resources now.
Exceptional juggling by rcknew, excuse me. Hasn't lost any wisp yet, so something I need to work on. So I'm taking notes.
And he's close to level 2 now. If he can get another wolf, which, I mean, doesn't really help much offensively apart from the small stat gain, but obviously any experience is welcome. Okay, Seek's deciding to back off. Looks like he's just going to take out one of these small green camps on the elf side, and then I'm not sure where he'll go next, if he'll also hit the other small green camp, or if he's going to try to pull one of these orange camps. The orange camps on this map are pretty tough though, even for a Farseer Headhunter build. I mean, you can do it of course, it's just not as easy as a lot of the orange camps on other maps, and he might need to go back for a salve after. rcknew on the other hand, taking out these easy green camps, just getting the XP, and he will need to get some other camp for level 3. And that's the awkward part I always find as elf, is you take out the 2 green camps, you take out the gold mine, and you still have to find XP somewhere else to get 3. And there's just no convenient camp for it.
Yeah, very true. I acquiesce. You know, it'll be interesting to see where rcknew, excuse me, moves his AOW if he's going to try to utilize it. I see some elves move it to the reveal shop or the merc camp and try to creep one of these aggressive middles, but I feel like he's going to be a little more passive this game.
Looks like he's heading up to the small green on the orc side. So they both trade this sludge flinger. And I believe that should be level 3 for the DH, which of course is always huge. Getting that level 2 mana burn is such a huge increase in power level for the DH. And we actually see a panda second. So this is the choice that I started making more often, but with a keeper first, not so much with a demon hunter first. And panda is pretty good against headhunters. Ooh, we might see an engagement here. Or is this going to be an all-in? No, he's putting up a lodge. Against demon hunter, you don't actually need to put up a lodge. You can go totem instead. But you got xeSeek going for the middle camp. It's a lion horn, which is a pretty good item. However, against panda, your main risk is against going to be haze and breath of fire or magic damage stuff, so it doesn't help as much against that. But in general, a really good item.
I really like how rcknew is splitting, you know, trying to creep up the panda and trying to look for, you know, try to harass the Farseer. I really like that play, and so that means, you know, he's an upper tier of Night Elf players, because I remember working on that for a while. So I like seeing that. It's just that rcknew just doesn't really know where xeSeek is.
Yeah. It's too bad he didn't head into xeSeek's base, because he actually could have canceled the lodge. But he probably didn't want to do that because he didn't have a Staff of Telly. He went close to his base. I'm not sure if he saw that the lodge was building, but DH definitely could have canceled that if he had wanted. Oh yeah, and we got xeSeek's Blade Master second with a mirror image. I know he likes playing that against Elf and Orc, I believe, too. And it can definitely be pretty strong because it's actually really annoying to deal with mirror images. Did he actually steal that?
I believe he got the last hit on that DH.
He stole that.
Nicely done.
Blade Master got a little bit far and did not actually get XP for that last creep either. More XP for the level 4 Farseer, which is...
Oh, we got a nice Purgeon Surround. Sorry.
That's definitely huge. I think he should actually TP right away. He does get a Headhunter, but honestly, I think not draining the Moonwells would have been better. However, he is going Bears, so with the Bears coming out and Rejuve, it's not terrible as long as he doesn't use the wells up. Yeah, so he is just waiting for the Rejuve. Okay, not too bad then. I mean,
I'm waiting for... Oh, no.
What were you gonna say?
I'm waiting for xeSeek to pass the great items to the Blade Master.
Yeah, he should really get those items over. He has slippers, he has claws, gloves of haste. All very nice. Hellstone on the blade is also pretty huge. I'm not sure if I agree with that mirror image use there, because it ends up getting him stomped again, and I don't think the amount it tanked was worth using his mana up. Now he's actually really low on mana, so I would have liked him to save his mana there. He could have had 200 more right now. But otherwise, both players are getting pretty close to their level 3 on second hero, and it's very relevant for both. Panda especially, but Blade Master as well if he gets either level 2 crit or level 2 mirror image. Both can be extremely powerful.
So when does the power spike if you're going fast bears against FSHH? When does rcknew need to hit?
I don't think he needs to hit. You can kind of just let the orc hit usually. I feel like most of the time you don't actually have to hit as elf. anytime you think you have to hit, you can just expand instead and force them to hit. I don't know. I guess maybe against human you have to hit because you have to do some economy damage. But I think against orc, as long as you bring wisps to the later fights, you can take on shamans and witch doctors and stuff. And you mix in a few MGs later. rcknew does need to start adding in some wisps, and he is going for the expansion play. So, okay, he's also going for burrows. Not bad. I mean, he should go for burrows, but I guess he doesn't have a TP, so he doesn't want to risk walking in. So this could actually be a deciding fight, depending how well it goes for rcknew. His bears got a little bit microed. He got stomped and does not get the staff off. Very awkward engagement. Bears were a little bit AFK at the start.
Ugh.
And I think he's disappointed with how he took that. Because he was definitely not in a bad position this game. But sometimes that's all it takes is one mistake or misposition and you can get overwhelmed quickly. Okay. And we're getting started. This time,
okay.
The right race, the right map. Hopefully the server was fine.
Alright, and so we got game 2 of Watchsip League. Group E?
Yes, Group E.
Yes. Alright.
And it looks like rcknew is going to go for the Tuskar camp. I used to go for it all the time just because I saw everyone else did, but recently I've enjoyed much more going for the small green and getting a permanent item rather than a consumable. But consumables can of course be powerful. If you get like mana potion on a keeper, for instance, or like health potion on a DH.
Very true, and let's see if rcknew is able to do this in a crisp way with one wisp and do it Foggy-esque or Moon-esque. Or if he's going to use 2 wisps, you know, get a little on the lazier side. We'll see.
Yeah, I think usually you only need 2 wisps if you're going something that isn't keeper, which he is going a demon hunter, so he might bring a second wisp over to repair. I mean, you can get by with 1 wisp, it's just a little bit risky if there's a harass coming. And as seen in the first game, he realized xeSeek likes to harass with Farseer, so he could be expecting it to happen again. And with his Wisp Scout coming out seeing headhunters, he can assume the Farseer might be coming across at the start to do something.
A player's forces are under attack.
Okay, so creep starting from rcknew. A little awkward creep starting though. He's got just one bloodlusted Tuskar roaming into his base. Okay. Needs to get this Wisp repairing though. But as long as he gets the Wisp repairing, it should be fine. Make sure the peon doesn't get the hit. Farseer is coming across. But what rcknew can actually do is kill the ogre and then just stop creeping. I think that's something that some elves don't realize is you don't always have to finish the camp. You can pull back from the camp midway and just take what you got. But he does end up actually getting it. Since it was a Farseer rather than a blade, it wasn't too difficult to secure the last hit. It was a little bit close, but yeah. And we see the harass coming out again.
Yeah, and I noticed that rcknew likes to tech with 22 out of 30 food, so it's a little different.
Yeah.
That's usually is a tell if you're gonna want to try to do some fast expand play. But yeah, you know,
yeah,
everyone has their preference.
It is definitely a little bit slower second hero, but it also can be good to just, if you have that extra wisp early, especially against a Farseer with wolves, can help you get a lot more wood and can potentially allow you to tech to tier 3 quicker because you have a wisp mining the whole time.
For sure, man. That makes sense. I also noticed that rcknew likes this early Ancient of Wonders, even though he's going DH first, so...
Yeah, the Ancient of Wonders is kind of weird to me. It can definitely have some purpose if he wants to get an early staff right when tier 2 hits. But generally, I think I only do that with like Keeper or... I don't know, just if I feel like I might need it for some reason.
And Warden play also, right? They'll put the Ancient of Wonders near this green camp and creep that, I believe, at the same time. So, which is very cool. You know, I haven't practiced it myself, man. But
he definitely could have put that Ancient of Wonders here, and he could have been creeping the other Murloc right now, and then did an Ancient of Wonders creep with just his archers while his DH goes to harass or something.
Yeah, that would be a dope play, man.
Yeah, you would have reached level 3 with that, and level 2 mana burn could have been pretty strong. Okay, we see Farseer reaching level 2 with some pretty mediocre items. You don't really like having Lightning Shield when you're going Headhunters, but I guess they can still be useful on your wolves or something. And then Slippers are also awkward when you don't actually have a blade. However, as seen in the first game, xeSeek does like to get a blade second, so maybe he will pass that over later. rcknew, on the other hand, has very good items. Claws, Greater Healing, Wand of Illusion. Even Cloak of Shadows can sometimes be game winning in the right scenario. So, pretty good for him. And rcknew, on the other hand, is teching straight to tier 3, and that's probably a result of that extra wisp early. Because he had that extra wisp of mining the whole time from tier 1 to tier 2, he had plenty of wood to just tech right away and set up one lore. So he's going to have some fast bears again, I think, and he is going Panda second again. So maybe he realizes the first game he didn't really... Like, it wasn't a flaw with his strategy, he just had a little bit of miss micro in that fight, and that cost him a lot. Ooh, we see a nice steal here, and he gets the Ring of Regen out of it. Very good for him, and this Farseer is not level 3 yet. And that is going to be rough for the Orc. You really want Farseer to out-level the Elf. But he has not done so far.
Yeah, I also noticed that xeSeek was a little more passive, not as an aggressive Farseer as the first game, so maybe he's giving him a little more room, and this is what rcknew really likes, you know? He's calm, he's collective, and, you know, just lit some incense and is ready to go this game, you know?
Yeah. He definitely did harass at the start, but then he just immediately backed off and decided to creep, which can be good, but I think it would have been more beneficial if xeSeek had tried to steal, like, the Murloc green, you know, steal some of the camps from the elf side, and then head back to his own side. That could have been pretty powerful.
Yeah, that would just slow down to level 3, and also the DH wouldn't have been there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he actually had a couple headhunters sitting around the center at some point, so he could have brought those over, prepped the Murlocs, and got the item, potentially Sentry Wards, for instance. And if you got Sentry Wards, you could have it on the gold mine and creep check there. Things like that. Could have been pretty powerful. Okay, we see the Demon Hunter coming in, gets a burn off on the Witch Doctor. That Witch Doctor won't be doing much for a while now, but he did get one ward off in the center.
And so it's... Oh, sorry.
That's fine. You can say stuff.
I was just wondering to see if xeSeek is going to use his game sense and run over to that gold mine, but he's going to be a little greedier and get the both middles, which is imperative, especially on this map, you know? Pokey has told me this a plethora of times, you know? So I like how xeSeek got both of the middle camps.
Yeah, those items are not bad. I think Ankh is underrated. It's definitely not always ideal, but a second life can be very powerful as long as you don't like leave that hero. Okay, we see an engagement coming out, but after the quick haze and breath of fire, Zeke immediately TPs. Everything actually survives, so he will just be able to salve up. He does need to get some clarities out on his Farseer. His units are a little stuck right now. For rcknew's side, he does have level 3 Panda already though, and a staff. He does need to pick up Orb at some point, but otherwise he's in good shape. So he just needs to just continue building up his army. Looks like he's going to expand again. Not a bad play. Seek's timing could be coming soon though, with Berserker finishing. And his Blade Master also getting near to level 3. rcknew, on the other hand, won't really be hitting level ups for a while, so it's actually Seek who's getting stronger right now, and rcknew who's staying pretty stagnant, especially... Wait, he didn't actually put up the expo, he just put a wisp by there. Okay. Maybe he's not expanding? He actually needs to do something though. He needs to either set up 2 Moonwells, or he needs to expand and set up a Moonwell or something. Because right now... Okay, he is expanding now. It's just a little bit later.
What are your thoughts of having the first staff on the Panda? And, you know...
I think it's fine. Generally you want it with the hero that has the TP though, so he probably should pass the TP as well. Oh, he sold the Ankh, which I guess is not... Or no, the Ankh was on Seek's side, wasn't it? Oh, Seek,
yeah, he sold it.
Seek sold the Ankh. I thought it was on rcknew's side he sold it, but Seek actually sold it too. I mean, it's not uncommon to sell it. I personally like having an Ankh. I think it can be pretty valuable. But I get wanting to sell it because you don't really like letting your hero die even if they revive again.
And also a little... Oh, sorry.
You can say what you're going to say. You don't have
also a little thing about that I learned from Todd is that when you sell your items, when you don't break yet, they give you more currency than if you broke and sold your item. So how Seek sold his item at 50 and didn't break is actually he's getting maximum min-maxing to the most. So something I learned from Todd that is pretty cool.
Yeah, there is so the upkeep system actually affects items sold. So that's why usually if you are going to sell items, you want to make sure you do it before breaking 50 food and then massing after to 70, 80. Seek kind of wandering around, seeing what creeps there are, sees the red camp's gone. He does not opt to take the orange though, even though he could get his TC to level 2 first. rcknew, on the other hand, actually managed to reach level 4 DH. That level 2 evasion could be actually kind of powerful for letting his DH tank a bunch. He does still have his TP on the DH though, rather than the Panda. And
he also has double staff now also, so he's really on top of that, which I really like. A lot of Night Elves kind of lack that, including myself on some games, but double staff is an amazing thing to have.
And the main thing for our Night Elf player is to not overcommit to a fight. He just needs to stay passive and let the Orc come in. And then when the Orc does commit himself, make sure you get a bunch of detonates off, because you are going to need detonates. Does get a nice burn off, but man, that was close to getting stasis trapped on his Demon Hunter, which is what Seek's aiming for, I believe. That DH was so... He was like this way.
So interesting. The second upgrade for attack is coming up for it. So he likes 2-0. He doesn't like the balanced approach. So no, the battle is going. We have a precarious situation for the Night Elf, but let's see. Here we go.
Night Elf should be in a decent spot. It would be nice if he pulled some of these wisps off to detonate, but the Panda with Breath of Fire as well as Cloak of Flames can put in a lot of damage. And he does a nice job of having his archers focus down that heal ward at the start. It is Actually, still a pretty close fight though, because of not having Wisp Detos, but the elf heroes seem to be carrying it enough. There is still a lot of orc army, but the orc heroes are all extremely weak, and there is no TP. He sold the Yonk earlier, so he doesn't have that. His Farseer has to escape. Does have one salve for it. Another heal ward coming out, which can get quite a lot of value if he doesn't have anything to target it. His archers aren't close enough anymore. This is a crazy fight. Seek's heroes got so weak, but there's just not enough killing the headhunters yet. We're starting to see them fall now, but the demon hunter as well is getting extremely low, and he needs to back off and use his moonwells. Did he save? Okay, he has 2 saved bears. One's still in his base. He needs to heal that up and bring it back. And once he heals it up and bring it back, as well as preferably get some mana on his panda, he should be able to fight this off. But getting mana on the panda is key, because that's where a lot of your damage comes from here. Needs to make sure to get his staff off. Okay, he does. Very nice. This archer getting a little aggressive on the TC there. Smacked by a
Gets
cow.
2 devours?
Oh no. Those Kodos. Yeah, that's one of the drawbacks of bears. You really need to make sure you have a good mass so that the devours aren't as big of a deal, or that Kodos can't move around freely when you have too many units. But yeah, he did finally manage to get mana on his panda. Got his rejuves off, and he is sitting in a decent spot, especially with the expansion up and running. Seek, on the other hand, has to back off, heal up, potentially buy clarities as well, heal scroll. It's going to be a lot of item buying for Seek, whereas rcknew is at 61 food, and he's just going to be pumping units. So we might see a like 70 or 80 food elf army against a 50 food orc army soon, and it might just be the elf overwhelming. Now, 8 of that food is technically still in Kodos, so that is
Yeah.
that is a little awkward, but he does have a decent food advantage. Yeah, we see
Kodos always remind me of Big Fat Bastard from Austin Powers. Get in my belly! You know.
We do see a counter expo from Seek, but he is going for the slow expand rather than tiny great hall, which generally I think is worse, but I mean, getting an expand up can be good.
What are your thoughts about the panda carrying an orb? I've recall that a lot of players and casters say that Panda and Beastmaster are like the worst orb carriers for most of the Elven army. What do you think about that?
I don't personally like it, but if you have the money, I guess it's fine. Or if you're against like an undead Garg army, it's fine. Against this army, I don't think he particularly needed it, but if he feels like he has the gold for it, I guess it's fine. Like, he can queue up 2 more bears here and basically be 80 food. And yeah, see, like in this sort of case, it's not that bad, right? Like, what else is he going to spend gold on at this point? Just more potions or something? Or ideally, he gets heal scrolls. Okay, we see an engagement starting. Still would be nice if he unloaded a Wisp. Oh, DH getting weak. Heal potion coming out. Has to be very careful. He does get a staff off. But now the panda might be the focus here. Nope, Seek's having to back off himself. His own heroes are extremely weak. We got red health, all 3 heroes. Blade will likely take a fall here. And yeah, this is the type of food count where Elf starts overwhelming the Orc, is when once you start getting enough bears, these headhunters are just not as good anymore. The Kodos are not as good anymore. And the front line for Orc will die fast, including their heroes. Because bears actually do a lot of normal damage. And Orc doesn't have things like undead and human with slow from Sorceress or the slow from Nova and Frost Armor or Clap. You know, I mean, they have Stomp, I guess, but otherwise the Orc army is not as adept at like making the bears not do as much damage. DH also getting weak again here. Will he staff it out? He does. Gets quick heal up. Does not have a Staff of Tele to get back in, but he does save it, so that's good. Panda is, on the other hand, getting near to level 5. He definitely could just brute force this fight, but it looks like he wants to regroup with his DH, buy an invuln or potentially a heal scroll and be safe. He actually missed buying something. I'm pretty sure he wanted to buy something, but it didn't. It didn't actually buy. And yeah, we see he has 2/2 upgrades, 3rd damage upgrade on the way. This elf army is just way too strong for the orc anymore. xeSeek did manage to get his expo up, but I do not believe the elf will give him enough time for it to pay off. And Panda is nearing... Panda and DH are both nearing level 5, which ends up being extremely hard to deal with without your own like level 5 Shadow Hunter, level 5 Blade or something like that.
Alright, here we go.
Bear's a little misplaced behind the Dryads, but quickly fixes that. TC dropping quickly, bad normal damage from the Bears, just way too much for Orc at this point. And Blade pops an invuln, Mirror Image, which actually gets rid of the invuln, by the way. So that didn't work out well. And yeah, Elf Army just too strong there. And rcknew ties it up 1-1.
Yeah, well played by rcknew. Feel like xeSeek got a little greedy and was banking quite a bit. He never really braked, and I didn't see any Tauren.
What should the orc transition to? I guess against bears, you probably want some Bloodlust and Tauren. Doctors are also pretty good, but you need more than just that. I don't think Kodos are a good answer unless it's like a small food fight. Kodos are obviously theoretically insane against bears, but once the food counts get too high, they start losing their effectiveness because it's hard for them to all get in and eat stuff, and the elf heroes end up being able to kill them himself.
Particular matchup, what do you think this map favors? I've heard, mixed opinions.
Concealed Hill, I don't know. I don't know who it favors. I definitely think it's not a bad map for elf, because I feel like you have more room to do stuff here. It can be a bit predictable to catch the elf's creep routes, but you can also do things like creep the small kobold top left, and then when their blade comes to scout the expo and maybe see you at there, you staff down to a wisp along the right, or the opposite side, and then you like creep their small green somewhere, either their turtles or their kobolds. You just kind of play dodge the blade master. And he either has to keep trying to chase you and do something, or he's just sitting around waiting to try to cancel expos or something.
Yeah, I agree. It always reminds me of Tom and Jerry. When I see Keeper versus Blade Master, I just see this Keeper just trying to run, and Tom the Blade Master is just on the prowl. So let's see if xeSeek will be in a apex predator in this particular game.
We do see a Demon Hunter, however, again, which, I mean, obviously Demon Hunter is powerful. If he can get levels on the Demon Hunter, it's also very strong. And we see Headhunters again for xeSeek and Farseer again, so similar game to the first two games. Question is, what type of routes are they going to take this time? Is xeSeek going to harass more? Is he going to tower push this time? Is he going to go doctors again or switch to walkers?
Yeah, you know, Zeke got to get his Dark Knight on, Batman, go into his utility belt and see what he can pull out to get this first win in week 1. So, we will see.
rcknew, on the other hand, I do like his style of Panda second and Bears. I think that's ideal against headhunters. I personally wouldn't get Panda myself second if it's with a DH first, because I'm just not a huge fan of dual melee heroes alongside Bears.
Okay, yeah, that actually is a good point, yeah.
But I also typically just make Keeper first, and then I would make a Panda second and have basically the same type of thing as what rcknew is doing now. It definitely can be good still, as we saw in the last game. He got level 3 DH and level 3 Panda fairly quickly, and that's very scary for the Orc. So we will likely see that again as well. xeSeek doing some harassing, denies the wolf XP by resummoning, and looks like he's just trying to see where the elf's going, if the elf's going to leave his base or if he's going to be creeping or just camping there waiting for the wolves. I do think as elf you kind of just have to camp here with the wolves for a while. It's awkward, but wolves just do way too much damage if you leave them unchecked. So that's what's being done. Sends a couple archers to deal with this wolf though. Nice block, but of course Orc just resummons and now they can creep. And this will probably be where rcknew as well decides to creep himself, pulling the green turtle so he can stay near his base.
A player's forces are under attack.
We're also going to see... Oh, okay. Go ahead.
You can say what you're going to say.
I also want to see if Zeke is going to still be aggressive or back off like in Northern Isles and give him space and give him time to set up his bear armies. So we'll see if Zeke stays a little more aggressive this game.
I think xeek's second burrow might have been late because it feels like his headhunter count is really low right now. He only has 2. And I feel like with how late his tech was, I guess his tech wasn't that late. It's actually about the same speed as the elf. Okay, maybe that's why. I think his tech was actually decent. I thought it was later. But yeah, it looks like I think that was a change here, right? Where his tech is a little bit quicker, but instead he has lower headhunter count. Which means these creeps will be a little bit slower than what can be possible for the headhunter crew. But, you know, with wolves, the camps are still pretty easy, so. Okay. See the night elf on the other hand, creeping the small kobolds. I don't think I agree with that because he actually could reach level 3 if he had just like crept the shop. I believe, or no, xeek took the crabs. Never mind. Okay, so he actually had to do that because xeek took the crabs. But I do think the elf should be creeping this shop and getting level 3 on his DH. Instead, he's going for the staff and maybe a pull on the ogre middle, followed by creeping the lab after.
Yeah, is he
look.
gonna spot this with his game sense?
I don't think he'll see it. But Zeke is getting level 3, so maybe he will be aggressive now. He might just grab the item here on the Farseer and then head out with it to harass with the level 2 wolves. Yeah, rcknew does do the pull. Needs to move his panda slightly so his DH can attack, if possible. Okay, there he goes. He finally got it, but the archer. Oh no! Hide that archer. Okay. He did manage to get it. Finds a claws plus 12. Zeke's going to check it, but it's already gone. And we do see Blade Master again, passing the item. Okay, needs to be careful here. Luckily his archers didn't get ensnared, because wolves could chew them down quickly. Zeke's actually stronger here if he wants to fight, especially because the DH hasn't hit 3 yet with this creep route. and hasn't hit 3 yet, even with that kill. So this is actually good for Seek. He can get a couple archers here, probably. Speed scroll out. Does the blade get that? See him getting a surround on the DH. TP going to have to come out. Okay, he just cloaks instead. Seek doesn't hold the surround. DH walking out. It is quite weak, but should be able to just walk away now. Use up a lot of the moon wells though. And this archer that's hidden is going to be revealed in a second. He decides to move it himself. Okay, that wolf kill finally gets him level 3. Rejuve coming out, and now Seek needs to be careful from overcommitting here. He could kill the Ancient of War though if he sees that. Because Headhunters can actually kill Ancient of War quite quickly, especially if he manages to summon some wolves as well to attack.
Now, what do you think about rcknew's decision to finish up that red camp instead of going over with the AOW and creeping there? See a lot of Night Elves either. What do you think about that decision?
Yeah, I think it would have been better for him to go to the lab. I think he wanted to pick off another creep to get level 3 Demon Hunter and then let his panda like solo the lab.
Okay, that makes sense.
But it didn't really work out that way because after one more creep sent in the center, his TH still wasn't level 3. And that was just kind of the route. A problem with the route with the DH never having crept the shop. The shop is a large part of what can get you level 3 as elf on this map. Unless you have like Keeper and Creep the Gold Mine, I guess. But he never actually managed to do the shop until just now. He finds a Wand of Illusion though, which can be very powerful. Okay, we see Seek doing a pull. Should be able to target down this dragon. It'll probably fly back away once, but then come back over the trees here. And now he can target it down. And hopefully he doesn't lose the item. Some people miss where the item goes. As we can see, it's down by his headhunters, and he's looking at the fountain instead. So he definitely lost where it went. Okay, he sees it with his blade, I think. Maybe? Maybe not.
Seek, don't do this to us!
Night Elf, on the other hand, very close to level 3 on his panda, just like his DH was earlier. But you really need to actually hit those levels, because if you're sitting there at 2.9, then you're not going to have a fun time. Seek has not managed to find the item yet. Maybe you'll see it here? No?
Oh
my god! Please see it with the Witch Doctor. Oh my god, no!
No. Maybe he thought it was lost in the trees or something, I don't know. This dragon didn't drop an item. What's happened? Okay. We see Tri-Hero, we see Berserkers. Seek has 3/3/1 heroes. Orb on the TC, still needs to pass it to the blade. Orc would ideally like to hit level 2 on the TC because Aura is extremely powerful as well. And the elf is not going to have a fun time with the Zeppelin because he is going to have to immediately TP back to his base. Which obviously is awkward. He's probably not expecting the orc to hit like he did, but Seek kind of reached his levels with 3/3 and Berserker and his third hero, so he decides to put a little pressure, forces the TP, and now rcknew literally just buys another TP and goes back in his Zeppelin.
Player's forces are under attack.
Kind of awkward for the Night Elf, but if he can manage to actually reach the orc base this time before Seek goes again, it could be good. But as we can see, Seek is indeed going again as an expansion up. And this hit and run playstyle is actually going to be a real problem for the Night Elf. He does have another TP, but
Town is under siege.
you really don't want to have to TP right away. I think at this point... He's actually loading up in his Zeppelin. I think at this point, what you're supposed to do as the elf is target the
A
fortress and
player's
kill it.
forces are under
And it
attack.
looks like that's what he's doing.
Wondering if Seek watched a little theory craft by Carson and anyone in the chat knows. We need 3 things at every orc expansion. It's kind of synonymous with Night Elf. We need that burrow, we need that tower, and we need that shop. You know? The trifecta, as Carson puts it. So let's see if Seek's gonna know that.
I think he might put a tower at some point, but I'm not sure if he'll put a shop. He'll probably consider
Player's
his
forces are
shop
under attack.
close enough and he'll just not do it. But it definitely can be very valuable. Okay, so Night Elf did manage to force the TP this time, so that was good. And he killed 4 peons in Seek's base. And now he didn't buy another TP though. So this is looking actually a little scary because Seek marched immediately across and also did not buy a TP. Neither side has a TP. What is this? They're both just content on base trading, but siege bears
Town is
are
under siege.
probably faster.
And they both broke too. They're neither of them are banking. So, all right, here we go.
What's going to happen here? There is a TP going to come out, and this should be saved. Seek does not have a TP if this is off. I think if the bears were a little bit farther to the left, they could have just surrounded a few of those headhunters off the TP. Dryad's getting a little bit misplaced and focused down. But the Night Elf army is decently strong with these level 3 heroes. He just needs to watch his heroes and target down these heal wards. Which he does target down the heal ward, gets his DH safe, and he should be in a good position. He does need to, however, activate Roar and potentially throw in some rejuves. His DH didn't actually heal though. Okay, there we go. Now he finally used the moonwalk. This fight's actually starting to go a little bit poor for rcknew, but his DH is extremely strong and might be able to carry him, especially with Moonwell support in the background. But the bears are dropping fast. He needs to find time to unmorph and rejuve with some of them because he actually has quite a lot of mana to use. Okay.
Yeah, and he also doesn't have the double staff, and neither either what some call the second best orb in the game. You know, some call the best since it stacks. You know, but the Night Elf Orb of Venom.
Yeah, I'm surprised he actually doesn't have an Orb of Venom. He should probably consider selling the Crystal Ball at this point because he already knows. I mean, he already knew Seek had an expansion, but I guess he did kill the expansion, so maybe it can still have use with. I guess because there's Witch Doctors, maybe it's not so bad to keep. You wouldn't mind de-warding, however, it can be hard to spot the wards. So I don't know. Maybe it's okay to keep it. I wouldn't mind him selling it if it's for the value of getting an Orb of Venom though. But as we can see, rcknew's actually in a pretty decent spot now. He has his own expansion up. He killed Seek's Expo. Seek's army did not really win the last fight. Seek, however, this time is putting up a totem, so we might actually see a deviation from the last game where he adds in Tauren, possibly Shaman and Bloodlust. I'm not sure on that. Otherwise, it looks like he's going to buy a tiny Great Hall and expand again, which he is doing now. And yeah, we might have a stalemate for a while where they're just kind of massing up.
Yeah, I see this a lot on this map. You know, it's kind of the battle over the middle and making sure you have your wisp and knowing which pathway each your op. You know, op is a word slang for opponent. But you know, making sure your op see where your op's going, and it's pretty cool feature of this map.
Yeah, I think it's a little awkward rcknew's food count right now. I think it might have been better for him to sit at 50 a little bit longer, but I mean, it's okay, I guess. Maybe he felt like he had to break in order to get enough wisps on like his expansion and stuff. But I would like him to get a TP, and it looks like that's maybe what his Demon Hunter is doing right now. We'll see what he decides to pick up. Yeah, he does buy a TP, which I think is required at this point. Like, you do not want to get into a hit and run against Orc, because Orc is annoying with sentry wards, and they can get an advantage through all of their vision in hit and run scenarios.
Yeah, I was watching Fast and Furious 1 and it reminded me of an Orc, you know, Vin Diesel and them doing hit and runs and jacking trailers, and so we'll see if he's gonna get his little Fast and Furious on, but let's see.
Yeah, but you do see finally a level 2 TC coming out. Aura is going to be huge. Leaves the book. No, don't leave the book, dude.
Oh, manual health, 50 extra health. You can take one more hit, as Hitman would say. Counts your tones. If you don't count your tones, what are you doing? Okay.
Otherwise, I do like rcknew's position more here, quite a bit. I'm surprised neither side really took the dragon on the left, the fountain. But I think they've just been both wary of the opponent going around to snipe an expansion.
A player's forces are under
we don't see fortified yet from xeSeek. Maybe because of wood problems. He's only at 170 wood right now, and okay, he has a shredder now to fix that, but fortified should be like 175 wood, so he could get it now if he wants. rcknew, on the other hand, does not want to commit to a fight, and I don't blame him. I'm not actually sure who gets stronger by waiting. I feel like xeSeek might actually be getting stronger in the long run by waiting, but I do think the Elf army can still win the fight if you mix in like a couple MGs as well and have good staff usage, heal scrolls, and Wisp detonates on all of the casters.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about. I was like wondering last game, I thought he was going to break and throw in a couple MGs and get in that nice little bear MG army I love playing with, you know, taunt, back up, staff, rejuve, roar, and you know, that's the winning formula.
I definitely like his play of getting bears, but at some point you have too many bears where they're not all going to be attacking, so it's actually better to mix in MGs so that the MGs can just kind of tank a bunch and you add in ranged units instead. So adding a Chimera Roost would be nice. Adding in even a Wind just for a couple Talons could be nice. It's kind of awkward to do, but Fairy Fire's... Okay, he does actually add in a Chimera Roost. So that could be good for him. However, it will take a long time before he actually has Chimeras. And xeSeek, on the other hand, manages to find the camp. It would have been nice if he gave solo XP to the TC though, because it could actually reach a level 3 TC off this.
Oh yeah, that would have been so pristine. I thought he was gonna... Oh, he does it a little late. Yeah. Maybe he was macroing a bit. Happens to the best of us.
He does get close to level 3 and his blade also to level 4, but I think it would have been better to just get actual level 3 on the TC right then. Because getting that level 2 stomp can make a big difference.
Oh yeah, man. Stomping like Godzilla, the new movie coming out soon, baby.
xeSeek, on the other hand, has banked a little too much here. He's sitting at 70 food with 1,500 gold. He really needs to start spending that. I don't know why he's not going past 70. But if he decides to take the fight here... I don't know why... Or no. He is at 75 actually. Okay, he just started a torrent. I don't know why rcknew also is not... I guess rcknew was just waiting for Chimeras. Which makes sense. You do want the Chimeras. However, I think rcknew could have gone to 80 and then had like 2 roosts and use when breaking the Chimeras to jump to like 90 and 100. and then push, that type of thing. Rather
I like
than,
how. Oh.
rather than stalling here at 70, 75 food.
I like how he got the double staff now, got to orb on his DH. I think if he had the double staff maybe a minute earlier, he could have saved that second bear that got killed. Excuse me, first bear that got killed, and he staffed the other one when he was, like he said, was making time for Shimmer's. So, little miscue, but that's okay. Happens to the illest of the Night Elves, you know? So.
We do see an armor upgrade by xeSeek. I was just about to mention that that would be good for him to get now, especially with Torrens being added in. Because now that will benefit both his Headhunters and his Tauren. And you really just want the fight to take longer, if possible, so that your heal wards and your heroes can do a lot. Now, longer fights also can definitely benefit the Panda if he gets lots of breaths off, but that's where you just need to have plenty of heal scrolls and heal wards going off, which we do see. xeSeek has 4 heal scrolls. This is going to be a crazy game.
2 invulnerability pots on his TC.
Neither one is wanting to commit to a fight. rcknew is going to camp center and sit at 80. xeSeek should really be prepared to jump to 100 food here, I think. Or he should try hit and running with sentry wards around to spot where the elf is going. Okay, we see an engagement coming out. A little slow with a couple of these Taurens in the back. And the first Tauren up front also getting focused by the Chimera. But these stasis traps and heal wards can have a lot of value here if they do not get targeted, and it's actually really hard for the elf to target them. A nice couple bears in the back line though, which are picking off some of the Headhunters, but now with this stasis trap going off, they get stunned for a long duration and are getting focused down quite quickly. The Panda putting in work, but TC on the other hand also reaching level 3, gets mana burned, and xeSeek's Farseer also weak. He needs to possibly use the mana potion. Does. TC gets a stomp off. Some hero focus coming out. The bears are down, and both armies are taking a lot of losses. But it's actually a pretty even split. rcknew dropped from 80 to 50. xeSeek dropped from 80 to 53. Now it's just who can macro better to come back in the fight. And
did he misclick the staff?
He might have clicked it right as the DH got purged and it didn't go off, and then he just didn't re-click the staff in time. Not sure. I do think rcknew can still potentially come back here, but he needs to somehow manage to buy back the DH and heal up from Moonwells. Okay, he buys back the DH.
Here we go. Pass the vulnerability pot to the DH.
Yeah, passing the invuln would be nice here, or just staffing it out. And then Panda still has some mana to work with. He does need to be careful with the Panda. Maybe he has to use the invuln here on the Panda. And, a little slow to catch it. And he decides to tap out. That game was actually really close though. I think some wisps in that final fight would have helped a lot. Otherwise, both sides did pretty good at building the right type of army. Maybe a couple less bears and an extra MG from the elf side could have been nice. And from the orc side, maybe a couple less witch doctors and a few shaman could have been nice. But otherwise, I think their compositions were generally pretty good for what they were facing. But xeSeek just had way too many heal scrolls and heal wards, stasis traps for the elf to deal with, since he did not have a level 5 Panda yet.
GG.
Yeah, that was a close
winning
series.
interview. Well, it's a little interview.
How you feeling?
Winner's interview. All right, let's go.
Fountain of Manor. All right, man.
How you
Congrats,
feeling
dog.
after that went?
Woo!
And what are your thoughts on that final game? Because it was actually pretty close throughout.
I I got really, really lucky. Um, I mean, he honestly was just too passive. Like, I can't believe there was still creep camps.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that the fountain creep at the top left stayed as long as it did.
Yeah, I would have got it sooner, but I didn't realize he didn't creep it.
Oh yeah, did you actually finally find the item from the
The Magi, yeah.
Yeah, it was on the
Yeah.
TV.
from the
Dude.
dragon on the right, or whatever?
Yeah, I found it. I thought I had grabbed it. I told my blade to grab it, but I probably
Yeah, you got blocked by headhunters.
yeah, it's always the case.
But yeah,
I mean-
the third game was pretty close. Both sides were at 80 food at the end, and as the fight was dwindling down, you were actually at like 50 food versus 53 food, so it was still pretty close. But then you had managed to pick off the DH with a purge, and then just kind of picked off some more afterwards, which somewhat sealed it, I guess.
Yeah, I'm shocked that he remembered to buy a TP every time. I was sure that he forgot it that last time. I was like, oh, I got this. I was like, I got his main.
Yeah, it was definitely starting to get close. I think he didn't have a TP at one of the instances, but he managed to reach the shop fast enough to get one, and then TP'd back. And yeah, that ended up being pretty close. Both sides taking some losses. I think your expansion died. The elf side, on the other hand, had to call tons of wisps over, and
I think he should have like attacked much sooner, because there was a point there where I had no lumber, and dude, I wasn't mining for the longest time. I'm pretty sure. What killed my peons?
oh, he went into your base at the same time you went to his base at one of the points, and he like breath of fired a bunch of them, and then he TP'd out.
I didn't even snap. Like I just didn't even look at my base. I assumed, because I was getting gold from the expo.
Yeah.
And then once that stopped, I was like, why am I not mining? Must have been at least a couple of minutes.
Yeah. So let's just talk
But
about
I
washed
think-
up league.
I think him letting me really quick. I think him letting me get the expo back up. That's where he messed
Yeah.
up. He
I think-
should have just hit.
Yeah, I think he could have probably got a timing in there somewhere, because there was one point where he had a little over 60 food, I believe, and you were like 50 buying a tiny Great Hall. So there was probably some window
Yeah,
there where
my
he could have done
50
something.
versus his 50. My I would lose. Like with that panda, it's I don't remember anyone ever going panda versus that strategy, but he's got it pretty down. And
Yeah, panda can be pretty scary. It's actually what I like to do when I go keeper first against work, against headhunters, because I think you really want the AoE damage. Yeah.
I want to
So-
inquire just one question about what's your typical base layout for your expansion? Because I watch a lot of Theory Craft, and so I just wanted to see what's your defensive Sim City for your expansion when you put it up.
just build 2 towers in front.
Just simple. Do you
Yeah.
ever put a shop over there much, or is that more on maps where the expansion is farther away? Maybe.
I guess I should, but I normally will if I need to defend it.
Yeah.
It's hard for them to really, once I have a couple of towers up, if I have stasis with this strat, it's really hard for them to take it down.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really worried, but if I was in a bad place, I normally put up a shop. Yeah.
And then.
I got just one more question, but
Okay.
my apologies. So yeah, we're wondering when you're gonna get that fortified. So is that something that you prioritize, or it was just a little macro? Excuse me. So.
Well,
I think it was low wood, right?
yeah, my lumber, like this strategy is just, it requires so much lumber. And then if you expo and take those peons off of lumber and you're at 50, like it's weird to like just break 50, no lumber, no peons. So I usually try to get the shredder when I break and I do the expo. But yeah, I was just, the fortified is just so hard to get sometimes just because you have so many other upgrades for Berserker and Doctors, Master. It's just, and then a third hero. So yeah, it's just all kind of crazy.
I do like your utilization of the Sentry Ward. You know, you always kind of really know where your op is, and it's pretty dope, man. Just wanted to give you that.
Yeah, that's really fun too when you have all those Sentry Wards everywhere. Then you can kind of, you know, safely do whatever you want. You can expo and you can hit and run. Yeah. But once we were 80 food, he just, I was just like slowly putting stasis, like working my way towards him. So there was no way he was going to be able to win like a straight up fight. Like I would have been able to just, and his heroes were too weak. Like that was going to be really hard for him to win once he let me get my army together.
Yeah.
And I realized, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, ideally he wants to reach level 5 Panda at some point, but he is a bit far from it still at like 4.2 or something maybe. And then also, I do agree with you. I was mentioning earlier, I think the elf was in a better position, but I was also mentioning I think the elf technically is generally still advantageous at the end, but that's assuming they bring a bunch of wisps to Detto, because you can't really fight orc casters without wisps. So
yeah, but the hero levels, like him not getting those last few camps, I think because he could have got at least a couple more camps. I think at least that other red would have really helped. You know, like one hero level could have made the whole difference.
I think it was a situation where both sides were actually still worried about hit and runs. Because you lost your expo, his tree was getting weak, you lost some peons at your main. So
yeah, his 80 food army just wasn't that impressive though. I'm not sure why. Maybe he just didn't know what to make, but I don't know about the bears and chimera. Maybe he should have broke to 100. I mean, he should have had the gold, right? I had so much gold. If you notice, I backed off in the middle. I was like, oh, I should go buy like a bunch of stuff. Like, honestly, what am I doing?
Bro, you went on a shopping spree like it was Black Friday, bro. Like, dude, Pokey is like, he got 4 healing scrolls, 3 invulnerability pots. I was like, god damn, dude.
Yeah, I was thinking you should actually have got another 2 burrows and be prepared for 100 food. Elf side actually had a little bit less gold for some reason. True. I'm not sure where it all went, but he was somewhat low on gold when he was at 80 food, whereas you were at like 1800 or something.
Yeah, and that last battle was kind of sloppy. Well, it was really sloppy actually, because I control grouped my units different. I put Tauren in Heroes 1, Berserkers 2, and then Docs 3, and I stopped using my Docs. Like I wasn't using them as effectively as I could have, or like kiting as effectively as I could have. So it was I was pretty surprised I didn't get slaughtered for a moment there. And then my Docs were just like hanging around while I was fighting him closer to his base. So yeah, that was fun.
Third game was definitely really close. The first two, I actually felt that Elf was in a decent spot the first game, but a little bit of miss micro and getting his DH caught, as well as his bears didn't immediately fight. They kind of pulled back at first. Second game, the Elf hit a timing I think you attacked him, and then he killed a bunch, and then just kind of hit a timing and back and finished it off.
Yeah, well, that's why I adjusted in the third game, like because I realized, like, man, this guy's gonna out creep me, and he's gonna be way stronger. Like that panda is too strong,
yeah,
and he plays so passive. I was like, I'm definitely going to get an expo up, no problem. So I think that's what really countered his passiveness, you know?
Yeah. He definitely crept
yeah.
really well with his panda, getting it level 3 right away. Oftentimes even split creeping with his DH trying to do something else. So that was actually really good by him.
Yeah, I was noticing like in game 2, his heroes were just so strong, and I was like, I can't I can't like just creep for creep and then fight straight up. So I mean, I could, but it would be really hard to get to 80 and be stronger than him.
Yeah, it gets really hard if
yeah.
the elf heroes start nearing level 5, especially.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on your washed up league group? Where do you think your standing is there? Have you met any of these players on ladder, etc.?
Group E.
Have you met Bash or Anar, which is Slytherin, Dazzle, the Red Orc, Metagame, Lizard?
Surprisingly, I don't think I've played any of these guys on ladder. It's kind of weird.
I think most of them are pretty similar MMR to you. I think they're around 1600 something. So maybe you'll end up finding, it's like I've noticed sometimes that after my group gets settled, I actually end up matching against more of them on ladder afterwards, because maybe everyone's just practicing more.
True.
But yeah. Otherwise,
where can I see their races? I can just see the groups, but where's their races?
Let's see. There should be Orc, Elf, 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 and then I'm not sure about Metagame, the Red Orc, and Lizard. I would assume the Red Orc is also an Orc, but Metagame and Lizard I'm not sure about.
The Red Orc, unless he's playing his main, he plays human.
Oh, he plays human?
Yeah. I played with him a lot in GNL, but he off-raced against me, so he was playing Elf.
Who names himself the Red Orc and then plays human?
Oh, maybe it's an inside joke. Oh, no, man.
It looks like you have a few elves in your group, an orc and probably a human. Not sure on the other couple. So, yeah, where do you think you stand on that? Bash is the orc, and Bash is potentially one of the strongest ones in your group, I think. I know he can definitely perform really well.
What are the races in my group again?
Orc, elf, and then maybe like human, I think. And then I'm not sure on the other two. There's 3 elves, an orc, and a human, I believe.
Well, I think I'm pretty good versus elf at this level. Like if they're like 1600, if they're like under 1700 MMR, I think I'm pretty good versus elf.
Yeah, it can definitely be hard for an elf to deal with headhunters. I know even I struggle with it sometimes against. Sometimes I feel like the orc is below my level in like micro and stuff, but they just still slaughter me because I just don't handle it well sometimes. So I can understand that.
So I think versus the elves I should win. Human I should also win versus human, especially since I got the vetoes. So if I'm not playing them on Echo or TS, I should win my human matchups too. Versus Orc, I should probably win versus any Orcs too, because I think I'm getting stronger in my Orc. I'm finally just sticking. I'm just sticking to like Farseer headhunters, and as long as I don't have to play Echo or TS and do a blade war, I'm rusty on Blade Master, so I think I should be able to beat any orcs with like my strat or just straight up FSTC headhunter shaman. Versus Undeads is really kind of hit or miss. But I'm getting stronger versus Undead now that I'm sticking to Barcer Headhunter. So, yeah, I mean, the Undead has to be pretty decent, like maybe 1700 MMR player.
Does CL scare you?
CL, actually, I've been winning versus CL all the time now. Like, I realize like I can just harass the crap out of CL pretty effectively. And just block him with my wolves and mass Headhunter. As long as I'm in good shape and I'm macroing all game, I'm not worried about CL. Yeah.
Okay, that's different from many players.
Yeah. Like I've been copying Kiwi Cocky. Like no, like not even gonna lie. Like I haven't even watched his last stream. He played the other day, and every time he plays, he explains everything he's doing. And when I understand why he's doing what he's doing, as long as I can just keep up my macro, like that's my biggest problem is just not making units, not spending gold. Everything else is coming together pretty good though. So, I mean, honestly, if my group is like 1700 or under 1700, I should probably win my group because I think I'm above 1700. I make too many mistakes on ladder.
Okay.
So
I like the confidence. I like it. Yeah.
Any last words for all your fans out there?
Got quite a bit in the chat. You know what I mean? They hyping you up.
Oh, for real? I should have been in there. Man, well, if you're orc, if you play orc, you know, don't let these other races get you down. You know, Night Elves, Pokey's cool, but, you know, Grinchy's cool, but, you know, just crush these elves and these humans. Undead players are cool, though. You know, I don't mind losing to Undead. So they're cool. So, no, but, like, yeah, I really love playing in leagues. I mean, back in the day, obviously, like I was a really strong league player, like really strong, as far as North America goes. So I really think when I play in league games, I really step it up compared to like if you watch me ladder, I'll probably make some really dumb mistakes. But yeah, just keep checking out the washed up league games for sure, or check out my stream because I'm streaming like all the time now. So cool.
And yeah, you should have. I think you have 2 elf matchups next week as well against Dazzle and Sithrin. So
nice. It's a fun matchup when I do the blade second.
Yeah, honestly, I was wondering if that threw him off because it threw me out the first time I played you. I was like, "Where's the TC at? He's creeping," and then there's a blade net. So I'm like, "What the hell?" Mirror image.
It's fucking crazy. It's cool. It's so fun. It's such a fun strategy.
Oh yeah, there is one thing. I do think at some points, maybe a little bit more of solo creeping with certain heroes to make sure they reach their levels can be good. Because there was a couple points where I know, like, you know when that fountain at the end that was left over, you could have technically got a level 3 TC off that. That can definitely be a big help.
Yeah, I normally do stuff like that, but at that point I was really in like panic mode.
Yeah.
So
there is definitely some cases where you don't want to move your heroes out because you don't want to like get caught off guard if something shows up, I guess.
Yeah, I was just focused on, okay, don't like get caught off guard and spend your gold. Like that's my biggest problem. Like just not spending my gold and getting hit, you know, at a power peak from the opponent. So as long as I'm spending my gold, I think I can hang with whatever strategy. So hopefully, because I used to do a lot of fun strats. Like I would go Shadow Hunter first a lot versus Orc. I would, you know, I have some really strong like pushes versus Elf tier 2 back in the day. So, you know, eventually I'll start getting the strats together.
For sure, man. Yeah.
Go.
Make sure no one can blind counter your ass. You know what I mean? For sure,
Right.
man.
Let's
Alright.
do it.
Well, I guess we'll call it there, and I will probably pass off my viewers over to your channel if you're going to keep playing.